All right, we are jumping ahead again. This is the final lesson that we're going to do in Algebra 1, Unit 7. We are doing lesson 22 now. And in this lesson, we're going to learn about what we call the vertex of a quadratic. We've I kind of indirectly talked about this last week, but when we take a quadratic and we graph it, it's in the shape of what we call a parabola. And a parabola is either going to look like this, a U, or an upside down U. And basically, what the vertex is the max or the min point of that parabola. So the vertex is simply the max or minimum value of that quadratic, and we're going to learn how to find that. We're going to do that by what we call vertex form, by converting it to vertex form. Okay, so what we're going to do is how to take a quadratic and convert it to vertex form. We are going to first set the function equal to 0. So x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. We're going to take the function and set it equal to 0. And then we're going to go back to what we did a couple days ago. We're going to follow the steps for completing the square, but we're not going to go through the whole thing. We're going to follow it until we're in factored form. So if you forgot from a couple of days ago, these are the steps for completing the square. We're going to basically do the first 4 steps. We're not actually going to solve it. We're going to rewrite it until it's in factored form. Okay? So remember, the first step was to move the constant term over to the left-hand side. So x squared plus 6x equals negative 8. Okay. Divide the coefficient of the x term by 2 and then square it. So in this case, that coefficient is going to be 6. So divide the coefficient of the x term by 2, 6 divided by 2, which is 3, and then square it, which is 9. Okay. Add that number to both sides of the equal sign. So x squared plus 6x plus 9. On the right-hand side, I have negative 8 plus 9, which is positive 1. And then we're going to convert the left-hand side to factored form. So once again, add, multiply. What 2 numbers add up to 6 and multiply to 9? And that answer is 3's, right? 3 plus 3 is 6. And 3 times 3 is 9. So when I write that in factored form, it's going to be x plus 3 twice. X plus 3 twice. So x plus 3 squared equals 1. And that is where we're going to stop. Because remember, it says set the function equal to 0 and follow the steps for completing the square until it is in factored form. So this right here is called the vertex form. This is called the vertex form. Okay? Now, the reason it's called the vertex form is then I could easily figure out the vertex from that. Okay? So once it's in vertex form, convert the function to vertex form, the x value of that max or min point is the opposite of the number in the parentheses. So the number in the parentheses here is positive 3. The opposite of positive 3 is negative 3. Okay? The y value is the opposite of the constant term. In this case, I'll use a different color. The constant term is 1. Well, what is the opposite of positive 1? The opposite of positive 1 is negative 1. So my vertex, this is called the vertex, is the point -3, -1. And just to give you an idea of what this looks like, if I go on Desmos and I graph x squared plus 6x plus 8, notice if I look at the minimum point here, the minimum point is -3, -1. So this is a way that I can figure out the max, or in this case, the minimum point, without actually graphing it. Okay? So we're doing two things. We're converting the function to vertex form, and then using the vertex form to find the vertex, the max or the min point. Okay? So with that in mind, let's try the second one. All right, so we're going to set the function equal to 0, x squared minus 8x plus 2 equals 0. We're going to follow the steps for completing the square until it is in factored form. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, because remember, to complete the square, I have to move the constant term to the right-hand side. So x squared minus 8x equals 0 minus 2. Divide the coefficient of the x term by 2 and then square it. So in this case, that coefficient is actually going to be -8. So divide that coefficient by 2. So -8 divided by 2 is -4. And -4 squared is +16. -4 times -4 is 16. Okay. Add that number to both sides of the equal sign. So that will be x squared minus 8x plus 16. On the right-hand side, that will be -2 plus 16. All right, so that's 14. All right. All right, so let's do my add multiply thing and put this in factored form. Okay, so what two numbers add up to -8 and multiply to 16? It's going to be -4s, -4 twice. So my factored form is going to be x minus 4 twice. X minus 4 twice, okay, equals 14. Okay, so once again, this right here is the vertex form, because we follow the steps for completing the square until it's in factored form. So we stop there. That's the vertex form. To find the vertex, convert the function to vertex form. We already did that. The x value is the opposite of the number in the parentheses. So in this case, the number that's in the parentheses is -4. The opposite of -4 is +4. The y value is the opposite of the constant term. So the constant term in this case is 14. The opposite of 14 is -14. So my vertex is the point for -14. Okay? And like I did before, I can put this on Desmos. Okay? I can graph x squared minus 8x plus 2 equals 0. So if I put that in, and I have to zoom out a little bit, but if I look at this minimum point down here, notice it's 4, -14. So when you do this, the good thing about this is you can use Desmos to check your work. to make sure that you are correct. So that is what we call vertex form and finding the vertex. Let's take a quick look at your cooldown tonight. Your cooldown is going to be 2 examples, just like the 2 I just did.